WNST.net. Lots of stories in the big city. We have been doing really a tour of all things Ali. I honestly didn't know I had so much to say about Muhammad Ali, but I've been saying it all week. We got the OTAs happening with the Ravens out in Owings Mills, not to mention the NBA and the Stanley Cup playoffs happening. I got a guy here that spent a lot of time in NFL locker rooms covering the Chiefs as well as the Royals and Kansas City sports. He's now with Royals.com and MLB.com. You can follow his journey out on Twitter at FlannyMLB. And we welcome Jeff Flanagan, one of our defending champions from Kansas City, back onto the program, and certainly traveling to Baltimore with the defending champions. But the boat is always rocky when you're trying to defend the title, right, Jeff?
It's tough to repeat. That's why a few teams do it.
Well, and obviously the Royals are in the midst of this right now and having some problems that, quite frankly, injury-wise and some other things that they didn't really have as much of last year.
No, that's true. I mean, they've lost Mike Moustakas for the entire season. Alex Gordon for probably another 2 to 3 weeks. You know, they missed Sal Perez for a week. That injury bug didn't really hit him very hard last year, and this year it has, and it's taken its toll.
Yeah, I know you've written books and stuff like that. When I wrote my book on the Ravens 3 years ago about them winning, there was not one single person anywhere I talked to with the Ravens that didn't use the word luck. You know, as much as you'd like to say we are the champions and beat on your chest, kind of like Muhammad Ali, and we've talked so much about him the last couple of years, and saying I'm the best, I'm the greatest, we're the best team, there's a lot of luck that goes into this, right?
Well, there really is when it comes to the injury front. There's so many factors that work against you to win a championship. So when you do win one, you really have to sit and enjoy it. As a fan base, you have to certainly sit and enjoy it. And this is a team that's now gone to 2 straight World Series, won one, have fully intended on going back to another, but they're finding that the road is a lot harder than it was last year.
Jeff, I'm losing you and bringing you in and out. There's a lot of wind coming in your phone.
I'm sorry. Let me try to get a different spot here.
No, it's cool. I just want it to sound good. I want us both to sound good. So
yeah, I can tell.
I stopped the tape, so it's all cool. That's why I love the tape, man. I mean, in the old days, I did 23 years of live radio. I can't fix anything then.
I'm going to find a corner here where it should be wind protected. It's hot and steamy here, huh?
Yeah, man. That sounds a lot better already. Well, okay, it's definitely better. Okay, we'll pick it up.
Okay.
Jeff Flanagan of Royals.com and MLB.com joining us here and talking about the Royals. All right, so they really come in licking their wounds, right? It looked like about a week and a half ago they were starting to right the ship a little bit, and the White Sox have clearly been a tremendous fade, and they picked up a player in James Shields over the weekend. There's just a lot going on out there, but the Indians are the flavor of the week, right?
They probably are, but I think when I was asked the same question in spring training, who was going to be maybe their toughest competition in the division, I went straight to the Indians just because they're power arms in the rotation. But it's really going to be, outside of the Twins, it's going to be a tough division. All 4 teams other than the Twins are thinking they can win the division, and it's going to be very competitive right to the end, I think. And the White Sox, you mentioned them picking up Shields. They obviously don't plan on going away anytime soon, and the Indians are playing well right now. The Royals are coming off a terrific streak of winning 13 out of 16 before they got to Cleveland. So they're going through a little rough patch here, but you're going to see a lot of ups and downs this season, that's for sure.
Well, hitting the ball was always the knock on the team 2 years ago, right? We knew the bullpen was there, wondering if the starting pitching would hold up, but hitting the baseball and getting on base, that was a real problem with Cleveland, right?
It was. I mean, but you're going to go through spells like that. When they were going through their good streak of 13 out of 16, they were really getting timely hits. Everybody in the lineup seemed to be hot at the same time. They had these dramatic comeback wins, so they never fell out of a game. And you're just going to run into that once in a while, especially with a Cleveland team that has the starting pitching they do. They have the ability to shut you down, and they certainly did over the weekend.
Well, when I think of the Royals and seeing them play from the ALCS 2 years ago and the disappointment in the World Series against the Giants, and then last year where they sort of steamrolled everyone, it felt to me like Moustakas is the middle of the middle, the epicenter, the leader of that team. Is that accurate, or am I wrong in saying that, not being around Hosmer and Kane and some of these other guys that have really been nice contributors as well throughout this stretch?
It's definitely Eric Hosmer. It's his clubhouse. I mean, Alex Gordon is a guy who leads by example. Haas is kind of the guy who not only leads by example, but He's very vocal in the clubhouse. He's vocal in the dugout, on the field. He's becoming one of those very special players right before our eyes. He's really turning into a superstar, and probably going to get paid eventually for that too.
I was going to say, that gets expensive when that starts to happen. We got the Machado kid around here, and we're all scratching our head wondering that. But, a lot of franchises, that's a good problem to have, right? I mean, having young players, there's a dozen franchises, from the Cubs and the Astros and the Twins and even the Indians who you saw over the weekend. That shortstop, he's special.
Yeah, Lindor and Correa and those guys, it's really a division now loaded with talent. And you mentioned the Machado. Baltimore's got their share too. But eventually, so far the Royals have done a terrific job of keeping their own homegrown guys, and they were able to sign Alex Gordon over the off season. He's hurt now, unfortunately, but that was a signing that not many people thought the Royals could pull off, but they did. So when you talk to Dayton Moore about the future and how many of these guys from their core can they keep? He fully intends to keep all of them. Now, he knows deep down he can't keep all of them, but he's going to try. And, it comes down to being able to properly select which ones to keep. And when you look at a guy like Hosmer, 26 years old, and what he's doing offensively and defensively right now, they're definitely having meetings about how they can keep this kid in Kansas City.
Well, I mean, and that's a new challenge, right? And part of that is the stands are full every night. I don't know that in their wildest dreams they could have imagined that they'd be making this much money, right? No one has maximized the World Series visit and win more than they have. I mean, Tampa would have loved to have had an afterglow of full stadiums. Philadelphia enjoyed that for a couple of years, a bigger market. But Kansas City waited a long time for this, and when they won, the fans have showed up in their blue, wearing green, I should say, right?
Yeah, they have, but one of the big issues with the Royals is they have arguably the worst TV deal in baseball, and that thing will go through 2019, and it's really handicapped what they can do financially. Now, hopefully down the road that gets restructured, and when they go out in the open market and get a new TV deal, but unlike the big market teams and even some of the middle market teams, they just don't have the cash resources to go out and throw $150 million at Hosmer right now and lock him in long term. And they've got to be smart about it, and they have been so far, but it's been a challenge.
For the Ian Kennedy experiment, that's worked out nicely. I'm a Ventura guy. I'm a Volquez guy, and watching those guys win a championship last year, honestly, I expect more out of those guys, and I was expecting them to get better. I don't know what my expectations were on Ventura, but I likened him to some sort of Pedro Martinez, and I expected him to go out and be a 15, 18, 20-game winner and keep a sub-3.5 ERA at least over long stretches. He doesn't look to be that guy right now, and all that intimidation and sort of the wildness and the bravado, that's all nice, but when your ERA's 5, maybe it's not.
Yeah, he's certainly been an enigma. He was one of the guys that they targeted to sign long-term over the offseason last year, and they got that done. They extended Salvador Perez's contract, but getting back to Ventura, yeah, he's been a disappointment. I mean, there have been times this year we've seen, just as recently as 2 or 3 starts ago, he threw a game that I thought was the best game he's thrown all season. The results weren't spectacular, but he just had terrific stuff, and then he comes back and, he will throw kind of a dud, and they're expecting a lot more of him. They're expecting him a front-line pitcher, an ace, and he hasn't shown that yet this year.
Jeffrey Flanagan covers the Kansas City Royals as the beat writer at MLB.com as well as Royals.com. Has inked books on the Chiefs, been in Kansas City a long time, and you can follow his journey out on Twitter at FlannyMLB. I guess for expectations for the team and where they were, certainly in the thick of things, and this being amidst a race should be of no shock to anyone out there. Where do they stand on the buying-selling stage here over the next 6 weeks? Is their minor league replete enough to be able to go out and pull the trigger on a difference maker? And watching the White Sox do that with Shields, there was money involved. There were a few players involved, but maybe not so much. But it is always nice to be able to augment. And I know last year they went and ran after Cueto, and it helped them.
Yeah, and they ran after Zobrist, too, and they gave up 5 pitching prospects, 5 of their top pitching prospects. So I don't expect, a similar type of move this July. It's possible, of course. They still have some very good prospects. Raul Mondesi was maybe their top prospect, but he's out with a 50-game suspension. Kyle Zimmer's their other top prospect, and he just recently went on the DL again. Right-handed pitcher who's got terrific stuff, but just can't seem to stay healthy. I think when you mention internally, I think they believe they can solve some of their problems internally on the field with guys like Brett Eibner, who was called up a few weeks ago, and he's unfortunately on the DL too, but he came up and won a couple games, during his debut. It was just an unbelievable performance. And Whit Merrifield is a guy now who's probably taken over at second base, another product of their system. So when you talk about going out and get guys, I think they feel at this stage they can go out and get them in their own system.
Well, anytime you see the world champions come in here at the beginning of the week, certainly they're scuffling a little bit. I'm sure you've been perusing the Orioles as an opponent coming in as well. You ready to play a little beer league softball here, Jeff? I mean, this is an interesting squad the Orioles have put together this year.
Yeah, it is. We'll get a chance to see that tonight. I'm curious to see what kind of factors with the wind and the humidity and stuff, and it's a homer park to begin with. I'm fully expecting to definitely see some long balls.
Well, yeah, the Yankees and the Red Sox just came through. One thing I'll say about the Orioles is we looked at them, and many, many people really considered them to be a cut below the other teams in the American League East. That certainly is not the case, and I don't know that the Red Sox are capable of running away and hiding, but I saw enough of the Yankees over the weekend to say I don't think they're going to win 90 games anytime soon.
Yeah, I just speaking from what the Royals believe, they still believe the Orioles are a very, very competitive ball club, and they're certainly not coming in here taking anybody lightly. They've given the Royals a handful over the years, so and they have a lot of respect for Buck Showalter. So I'm expecting a really interesting 3-game series.
Hey, man, appreciate the time as always. Great talking some Royals baseball with you. Enjoy Baltimore. Don't eat any tourist crab cakes, okay?
Will do. Thanks, man.
Great having you on. Jeffrey Flanagan, he is Flanny MLB, out in Kansas City with Royals.com as well as MLB.com. Also inked a book back in the day on Marty Ball, The Shame of Me and the Sea of Red. You can Google that if you want as well. But always great to have some folks on this week talking some baseball. Luke will be out at Oriole Park at Camden Yards till the Birds take off for Skydome later on this week. I still call it Skydome. It's just the way I roll. Anything you miss, you can find in this country or any other country in the Bahia Toyota Audio Vault at WNST.net. Download the TuneIn Radio app. We come in crystal clear. And, of course, our morning newspaper comes to you each and every morning at 7 a.m. It's all powered up by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. And on Thursdays, Dennis drives you home with the SSV on WNST. They also sponsor our Coons Ford of Security Boulevard WNST Tech Service. Any breaking news comes to you there first. Hey, on Saturday, I'll be signing books from 11:30 till 2 out at Black Eyed Susan in Glendon. Come with a little taste for some chocolate. They have some great goodies there as well as some regional gifts and books. I am the local author of choice on the eve of Father's Day. Speaking of books, I'll be signing Purple Rain 1 and 2 at Black Eyed Susan in Glendon on Saturday. Hit me up, nasty at WNST.net. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, anywhere that you are. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Taos in Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.